A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Honest Shade Nowak Super Foam Flying. And so for today's pick, in this particular episode at least, I give you something that pretty much will be out there to at least give us some closure on what was known at the time in 2021 as the Mega XL series. A new kind of ammo with a new kind of not so happy ending out there. And I will tell you for sure that this one actually does better than the others. And I'm serious when I say so. Because this is in fact not just any XL blaster, this is in fact the Doublecrusher. And I feel like that this one actually was not intended to be as common as the other two, because the Big Rig and Boom Dozer sure were easy to find, yet the only possible place that I could have found this anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, at least, was down in West Bend in the middle of Walmart. And there were only a few available. And I was very fortunate to get my hands on one, so that just pretty much answers that. But yet the Doublecrusher itself is basically a 2-round pump shotgun with a stock on the end of it that can hold a couple additional rounds. And, well, doesn't seem like it does a great job at holding the rounds, but hey, seize the day pretty much. But yet, being a XL blaster, utilizing some of the largest known tarts that you could ever find, although let's be real here, the biggest kind of Nerf-related ammunition certainly is not the XL darts. If you remember when I've talked a little bit about the Pulverizer as well as the Thunder Blast, then you'd probably know by this point that there are such things as Demolisher missiles. And I just pulled out of my Pulverizer so I could show you here. This one missile, as you can see, in comparison to the size of the XL darts, it is basically dwarfed by almost a full inch. And so, in that case, this just pretty much means that the missiles are definitely larger in size in comparison to the XL rounds. Yet, of course, I couldn't really imagine if the XL rounds were supposed to be something like grenades by any means. Who even knows? Maybe that's probably what Nerf was trying to give us, the sort of inspiration here. We got missiles, so why not have ourselves some grenades? Grenade launcher blasters coming your way, pretty much. Well, that didn't seem so good, did it? Fired up in the air, landed right on. Yet, of course, I do feel like that the Doublecrusher, it does a whole lot better than the other two. I mean, the Boom Dozer certainly did have quite a bit going for it, being a more grenade launcher-esque blaster than most of the others. But yet, the Big Rig out here, as well as this, they do in fact have a bit of a tendency to have that sort of grenade launcher-esque styling to them. And I feel like that in combination with the incredible Mega XL logo on the sides, with that unique sort of earthquake-esque depiction that it shows, almost like that of what you'd see on most construction-related films and the like, especially the ones made for kids. But yet, in any case, right here, the color scheme of this one, with the black, baby blue, vermilion red, and ghost white, at least in contrast to what we've seen with many of the other lineups so far. And then, of course, with the usage of pump action on the bottom, does have some nice ratcheting effects, I'll give you that. And then some pretty impressive ergonomics, yet of course this is another one of those cases where the stock is too flippin' short. I mean, like, how do any of y'all actually deal with this? I feel like that a lot of people might think about this differently, but yet the Doublecrusher is certainly of no difference right here. I mean, look at that. I'm just T-Rexing my arm right here, practically allowing it to become a little strained and a bit sore pretty much because of how crimped it is from holding it in that position for too long. That's probably just one of a few unique characteristics about this that are certainly on the con side Now, what about the pros? Well, I mean, like I said, it does have decent ergonomics apart from the stock right here. Dart storage in the stock itself. A pretty nice sort of grip that's very much on the angular side, in the same way that we've seen a good handful of other blasters out there. Like most rough cut-esque blasters out there. And then it's got some nice sound effects with the pump grip on the bottom. It's also got sort of a nice texture to it, so that way it gives you a good amount of grip. And of course, we certainly can't forget about the Mega XL logo, which has this unique sort of 3D appearance, as I've described it before. In contrast to the color scheme even. I mean, I certainly am liking the lighter colors that they've added on to contrast with the black that they've used on this. The sort of matte black kind of appearance. And yeah, if there's one thing about this blaster, then well, if you remember from when I've talked about the double breach, then you probably know that, well, this actually does come equipped with Slamfire. So, the Boom Doser's not the only Slamfire blaster out there. So, just hold down the trigger and fire away. Both of your rounds. And so, I feel like that most people might actually disagree with how the usage of any blaster with Slamfire, when it can only hold 2 rounds at a time, might not be the best idea possible. But yet, I do feel like that it is still a pretty nice touch, because you could blow through a lot of your ammo quickly, but you could have a lot of fun doing so. And in any case, this is basically just me talking about the Doublecrusher, the last of the new lineup out there from 2021. Because that's not necessarily to say that while it did show us something a little different, Nerf certainly was not hoping for it to be successful. And we certainly didn't want it to be successful either. Because the Mega line itself might have had bigger darts than the Elite line or the Ultra line, as Ultra does sit between the Elite and Mega darts in terms of sizing. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That seems to be the one pearl of wisdom out there that applies to a lot of lineups. If the Zombie Strike line is not broken, then don't fix it by trying to add another themed line to it. They already tried to do it at one point with the Alien Menace line, but that only went so far. The Doomlens line did slightly better, but it only carried apart so far as well. And then, of course, we have the Dino Squad. And while it is kind of going strong at this point, it's fair to say it might not be the same as what we got from the vibe from Zombie Strike. And so, that's basically all I have to say about the Doublecrusher blaster. For an XL blaster, it just does what it does. Has a great color scheme, some rather decent ergonomics. It would have done a lot better if the stock were the right proportion for my size and my curvature. And then, of course, with the combination of the impressive logo they printed on the sides, the 3D experience like no other, and then, of course, with 4 darts included, I feel like that this one could, in fact, be a win. But it's a bit too basic, at least for the kind of shape that would have been put together. And there's lots of other blasters out there that you can potentially get that might even be cheaper. And so, if you want to see more go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.